We've seen in the last few minutes various flashbangs administered by the French riot police to try to disperse the crowd, if you like. The sense is that really, I think, amongst a lot of the people here, they're almost at the last chance saloon, if you like, in terms of being able to get their voice heard. If you look over to the sort of central point over here, you can see a lot of people gathering, hooded, just looking into the crowd now to sort of see what's going on. You know, the anger here really is amongst people who feel that they have to get their voice heard today. And they have to get their voice heard because tomorrow there is going to be this decision by the Constitutional Council, which is essentially going to decide whether or not the French government has acted within the boundaries of the French Constitution by raising this pension age from 62 to 64. Now, that's almost like the kind of the last legal position in terms of that's the end of the road in terms of challenges. But still, there will be this residual anger against the French President Emmanuel Macron because of the way that it's being done by the French government, the sense that they tried to achieve it through the back door because he hasn't got an absolute majority in Parliament to push through this controversial legislation. So people here gathering, essentially over recent months, there have been some tens of thousands, the numbers, some people suggest, around the 100,000 mark at previous protests, which have been going on now on a weekly basis since last January. So for 12 weeks now, this is the sort of 12th solid day of protests over that 3-month period. And it involves strikes for various unions involving transport, education, bins that have been on fire. This capital is crippled, and it gets crippled on a weekly basis. People not going to work, crippled within schools, bins on fire. Let me just try and take you over here and give you a sense of how people are kind of lining up against the riot police. A new front line by this Place de la Bastille. And as I said before, this sort of sense that this is the kind of crunch moment. There you go. They're moving in now to try and... Yeah, so if you can still hear me, those French riot police moving in to try and snatch some of what they see as the agitators who are trying to take on the French authorities, the French police themselves, throwing any kind of incendiary devices that they perhaps may be able to get their hands on. The French riot police moving forward, then pushing back. This kind of cat and mouse, this kind of push and pull between the two sides. On the one hand here, the French riot police, and then over here towards this Place de la Bastille, a lot of the so-called agitators. There's a kind of romp, a hardcore romp, who are particularly disenchanted, not only because of these pension reforms, but the fact that they see this almost as an assault on French democracy lies at the very heart of a liberty, equality, the fact that the French president has tried to do this outside of Parliament. So there's a lot at stake here. And it's kind of quite hard to see how this is going to be dissolved overnight, even if there is this kind of ruling tomorrow by this Constitutional Council. Let me take you over there again. You can see the riot police moving in. So what they're doing is kind of moving into certain pockets at a time when there are these mini clashes. On the one side, the protesters who are out to make their voice heard, laced with violence, it has to be said. And on the other, you know, I've been talking earlier to a 78-year-old man who was here saying, look, I had to come down. I'm okay, I'm 78 years old, the pension reforms won't affect me, but I'm here for the next generation. So we've been talking to school teachers. I was talking to a young beautician earlier who was 33 years old and saying, look, it makes a huge difference. This is a line in the sand moment for France. You can see people moving back this way. So what's happening, of course, you got this, as I say, this kind of cat and mouse. On the one side, the protesters who will be throwing off fireworks, possibly tear gas as well, to try to disperse. Yeah, this disenchantment, it's this real disenchantment amongst this younger elements of society who just say, we will not accept this, we will not tolerate this. And, you know, it is very hard to see how these protests, which have got stronger and stronger, although some people say that they got a little bit weaker over recent weeks, it's hard to see how they are going to just simply disappear, even if this ruling tomorrow does go in the favour of the French government and goes against the voice of the people here. Tear gas is being used. We've certainly seen it in the side streets throughout the course of the afternoon. We're being pulled back here. I'm just going to get my respirator out.